All we can do is control how we play, and he expects his team to play a strong game today.
If they control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, and when you look at the personnel on the lines and where Denver has had their problems, if they can do that, they will win this game.
Ryan Longwell kicking off. On the return, Andre Hall from 1 yard deep. And he is stopped. Cedric Griffin stops him at around the 17-yard line. Good coverage by the Vikings. And the Broncos with Jay Cutler at quarterback. At home, over the last 3 home games, he's thrown 7 touchdown passes, no interceptions, and completed over 69% of his passes.
All in all, it has been a pretty good year for him. But coming off of last week against San Diego when he had a QB rating of about 32, he wants to finish better than that here today to finish the season against these Vikes.
Broncos come out with 2 tight ends. Selvin Young is the running back, and Cutler checking off immediately. Cutler off the play fake, throwing outside and completing to Javon Walker up the 26-yard line.
That's a matchup I think they can exploit most of the day, especially if Javon Walker's getting close to being healthy with that knee. Marcus McCauley is having to start out there in place of Antoine Winfield, the longtime starting corner for Minnesota. McCauley is a third-round pick. He's a rookie. He's had some growing pains. That will be a matchup that I'm sure Mike Shanahan and Jay Cutler will try to exploit this afternoon.
An injury-riddled season for Javon Walker. They've missed his presence in the lineup, though Brandon Marshall has emerged as a #1 receiver. Cutler shifts back into the shotgun on 2nd and 1. Everybody out. Cutler completes it to the tight end Chad Mustard, and Mustard is out of bounds at the 40-yard line. The starting tight end, Daniel Graham, is out. Mustard will play a lot along with Tony Scheffler, who's had a real good year. Pick up a 14 on the play and a first down for the Broncos.
And not surprised that the Broncos have come out here throwing. I mean, you think of Minnesota, and they are the best team by far at rush defense, really, over the last couple of years. Not surprising that Denver has come out here and tried to open it up.
Cecil Sapp is in at fullback. Off the play fake. The pass intended for Sapp was wide of him and incomplete.
And I'll tell you, in watching Minnesota all year long, and the reason why teams can't run on them, it's because of the Williams boys on the inside. When you look at Kevin Williams and Pat Williams, the nose tackle and the 3 technique, or what you call the guy that lines up outside shade of the guard, that's Kevin Williams, 93. These guys control the triangle. They control the middle of that defense. Nobody's been able to run on them for the most part all year.
Glenn Martinez in at wide receiver for Denver. Kenichi Udeze runs across the line of scrimmage. 3 flags go down. And referee Jerome Boger will fill us in as you look at Mike Shanahan on the sideline.
False start, offense, number 64. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Calling on the right tackle, Eric Piers. Moving too soon.
Well, they could have called it on either one of these guys, Piers or Scheffler, because both of them go on the first down.
Ball back to the 35-yard line, 2nd and 15 for the Broncos. Cutler gets time and finds his tight end. Once again, going to the tight end. This time it's Chad Mustard again up to the 48-yard line. So Mustard, the 4th-year man out of North Dakota, being used early. Pick up a 13 on the play.
I think...
Before you get into some analysis, want to welcome the fans who are watching the New Orleans Saints and the Chicago Bears to Invesco Field at Mile High in Denver. Sam Rose along with Tim Ryan. Opening possession. The Broncos on the move on 3rd down. Jay Cutler throwing incomplete. Intended for Tony Scheffler, the tight end. And covering was Darren Sharper. So the Broncos, after driving from their own 17, are stalled up at the 47-yard line. The veteran Darren Sharper, very key. This is a new punter, third punter in 3 weeks for the Broncos.
We saw the workout on Friday. They had about 6 guys out there in the snow trying to punt, and Shanahan and the boys trying to figure out who they were going to sign.
Sam Polescu, who was in training camp of the Dallas Cowboys and kicked against the Broncos. This is a wobbly kick bouncing at the 25, takes a Denver roll, is picked up and by Mewelde Moore, and he is brought down at the 20-yard line. So the Vikings will go on offense for the first time in the game. There is no score in a must-win game for the Vikings. Race is going on. Final day of the regular season. New Orleans officially eliminated, losing in Chicago 33-25. Please, somebody, don't kick to Devin Hester. Washington, if they win, they're in the playoffs in the NFC. If they lose and Minnesota wins, the Vikings get into the playoffs as the number 6 seed. And the Vikings, led by young Tavares Jackson, the second-year quarterback out of Alabama State, originally went to Arkansas before transferring. Big game for him. 3 wide receivers for the Vikings. Chester Taylor opens up and gets about 3 yards on the play. There is Tavares Jackson, whose inconsistency has been a problem. He's thrown 5 interceptions the last 2 games.
And that's been the problem when you talk to Brad Childress. Now, to his behalf, for Tavares Jackson, he's won 8 of 11 games. And winning is the most important stat in pro football. This is a huge game in terms of his evaluation, and I'm sure Brad Childress and the guys upstairs will take a good hard look in terms of what they decide to do going into next season.
Once again, it's Taylor trying to get outside. The Broncos there to slow him down. He gets about a yard up to the 24-yard line. Excellent play by Jamie Winborn, starting for the injured Ian Gold. His second start in the last 2 years. He started a game last week against San Diego, but Winborn's been very active. He looked good last week, and a good start to the game today.
He's always been a good player. He's a guy that you can plug in that'll bring you speed and certainly experience. You know, I'm very curious to wonder why Chester Taylor started the football game over that guy right there. Well, it's still Chester Taylor's out there, 29. We haven't seen Adrian Peterson yet.
6 defensive backs for the Broncos, 3 wideouts for Minnesota. Tavares Jackson throws short on the screen to Taylor. A couple of blocks, and he's got a first down. Across the 35-yard line, DJ Williams made the tackle, but a good play on the screen, something that we should see a lot of from Minnesota today. They picked up 10 on the play.
Yeah, they got a couple of good blocks. Certainly a chop-down block by Matt Burke. Watch the center here, number 78. He's going to get out and get a defender off of his feet. I believe it's DJ Williams right there. No, it's Jamie Winborn, and that gives him the opening there for the first down.
On first down, it's Taylor again, getting a couple of yards. The Broncos have not been good defending the run this season, and that's something Minnesota, #1 rushing team in the NFL, will try to exploit.
Well, I think in talking to Steve Hutchinson, when you look at the personnel for that defensive line, it's really 4 defensive ends. They got Marcus Thomas in there trying to play some defensive tackle. Of course, Engelberger and Elvis Dumerville, who is limited in size anyway, right here. Very undersized front for Denver. And
now Mewelde Moore is in at running back, so we still haven't seen Adrian Peterson. Here's Moore weaving his way across the 40 and up to the 43-yard line. It'll bring up a 3rd and 2. No word as to whether there's any problem with Adrian Peterson. We saw him yesterday. He was fine. He was in the pregame warm-ups. He was fine. And thus far starts the game on the sideline. And we've seen both Chester Taylor and Mewelde Moore in the game.
Interesting because he's in contention for the rushing title. You look at Westbrook and watch LaDainian Tomlinson in these afternoon games to try to identify who's going to be the NFL's leading rusher for the season.
Moore stays in the game on 3rd and 2. Jackson gets time and completes it to Garrett Mills in his first NFL game. That's his first NFL catch. Second-year man out of Tulsa, who spent some time with New England last season. 18-yard pickup.
Watch the move he puts on John Lynch right here. He's going to do an outside release, and then he'll bang it hard right there back inside. Gets the leverage on Lynch. Perfectly delivered ball from Tavares Jackson. And Brad Childress, as you said, was excited to get a good look at this kid Garrett Mills today.
First down at the Broncos 39. Josh Mallard, number 98, in at defensive tackle for the Broncos. And here goes Chester Taylor inside the 20 and down to the 15. Outstanding run for Chester Taylor, who's had a good year falling to the number 2 spot after rushing for over 1,000 yards last year.
Sam, it doesn't matter who the back is in this offense. They are playing good up front. Watch Matt Burke get the kick-out block right there. Able to get the linebacker out of the hole. That's one thing that Matt Burke has always been very good at. You get him out on the flank, leading the way in the run game, and just perfect patience by Chester Taylor to cut right off of his rear end and the block and pick up the big yardage.
Taylor is up close to 800 yards rushing for the season. 4 carries, 31 yards today. Jackson rolling, buying some time, and hit as he throws, and the ball out of bounds, incomplete. Tony Richardson was split out wide, the intended receiver, or at least the closest man to the ball.
And that's what Brad Childress wants to see out of his quarterback. Instead of a guy that's trying to squeeze it in a bad situation, especially down here in the red zone, just throw it away. It was wild talking to Brad yesterday and comparing Tavares Jackson with Donovan McNabb. And he said in year number 2, and remember, he was a big part of developing Donovan McNabb. He said Tavares Jackson at this point in his career is farther along than Donovan McNabb was.
Jeff Dugan lines up at the fullback. It's Mewelde Moore carrying inside the 10 to the 3-yard line. Outstanding run by Mewelde Moore. The safety, Hamza Abdullah, took him down. But the run game, very effective for Minnesota. Exactly what they wanted to do. And a pickup of 13 on the play.
Watch the cut off of Engelberger, who looks like he's in real good position to make a play. Watch him. He's going to flash, going to sit. Whip right back inside. It doesn't matter, as I said just a minute ago. I mean, the offensive line all year long has been opening holes. Give a lot of credit to Pat Morris, the offensive line coach, for being able to get that done.
Now Chester Taylor in the backfield with Tony Richardson. Taylor, a couple of blockers in front of him. Forced wide, goes out of bounds, lost control of the football. He's out of bounds around the goal line. There was one signal for a touchdown by the official.
Oh, they called it a touchdown, Sam. That side judge down by the pylon called it.
There's some discussion. And it is. The signal has been a touchdown for Minnesota.
Yeah, we'll see if this is going to be reviewed. As you watch Chester Taylor now, anything diving with that ball over or inside the pylon is going to be a touchdown if it breaks the plane. As long as he's in bounds there and leaps and got the ball to the pylon, if he got the ball to the pylon, above it or inside of it, it's a touchdown.
I don't think he has control of the ball. There's a they have challenged. I think he loses control as he reaches the pylon. Challenge is being made by Denver.
Staff and challenging the rule on the field of a touchdown.
So we will see. Mike Shanahan sends out the challenge flag. The Vikings hoping that the touchdown will stand. We'll find out in a moment. All right, take another look at Chester Taylor. Diving, hit by DJ Williams. The ball at the pylon, I think, is out of his hands.
Well, it looks like it comes out of his hands before he hits the plane of the goal line for sure. Now, what is if Jerome Boger has identified that that's not a touchdown, is it going to be a touchback, or are they going to put it out at the 1-yard line? You fumble into the end zone from the field of play. That's a touchback.
Right.
That takes points right off the board. It's all a matter of did he have control as that ball crossed the plane, and from that angle, it doesn't look like he did.
So Chester Taylor with a good effort, but apparently lost control of the ball, in our opinion. The referee, Jerome Boger, has come out and will give us the official decision.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field has been reversed to a touchback. The running back lost possession of the ball prior to the ball hitting the pylon. It will be Denver's ball, first and 10 on the 20-yard line. Denver will not be charged with 10 timeout.
How's that for a turnaround? A huge turnaround. Minnesota apparently going in for a score, and it ends up as a touchback and Denver ball at the 20-yard line.
Outstanding challenge by Mike Shanahan, realizing what the rule was going to be, that, listen, it's either a touchdown or a touchback. It's going to be worth throwing the challenge flag, and it pays off.
Now, we have also checked out with the Vikings people upstairs. They tell us there is nothing wrong with Adrian Peterson. Coach's decision, he was not in on that first drive. Now the Broncos with Selvin Young and Cecil Sapp in the backfield. And Cutler off the play fake. Going short, good coverage on Sapp. Back at the line of scrimmage and just across, Kenechi Udeze, the defensive end, making the tackle on the fullback Cecil Sapp.
You surprised that Denver, which the running game is always a staple for them here through the first drive and a half, haven't really, one run attempt for this football team? I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Because I think they've got some matchups out on the edges that they like. Certainly not in the middle, but anything out here on the corners may be good for them.
A toss back. Selvin Young is in trouble and he's buried. Darren Sharper makes the tackle. We've got a game break coming your way, and for that, as always, we go to our guy, Kurt Menefee.
Well, Sam, as you know, the Vikings need the Redskins to lose. They have a shot. Clinton Portis, opening drive, doing his best to make sure that does not happen. They lead the Cowboys early, 7-0. Back to Sam and Tim, two of my guys.
Thank you, Kurt. Obviously, that's a game that doesn't mean anything for Dallas. They have clinched home field throughout the playoffs in the NFC. So it's now Washington in the lead. The Vikings almost had the lead. Cutler on 3rd down and long. Steps up under pressure and gets rid of it. And it's incomplete. Closest man to it was Charles Gordon of the Vikings. So 3 and out for the Broncos. And the Vikings should get it back in good field position.
Pretty good job stepping up here by Cutler. One thing Minnesota hasn't done all year was press the edges in terms of their pass rush. Pretty good job there by Udeze. Cutler steps up, keeps his eyes down the field till the last possible minute, tries to unload it before the shot.
Sam Pelescu, his second punt. Weldy Moore is deep for Minnesota. Another good bounce for the Broncos. Moore on the return is surrounded. Buried at the 40, pushed back. And then spotted right at the 40-yard line. So the Vikings have it back, and we'll get our first look of the day at Adrian Peterson, the outstanding rookie running back. Back in Denver, where the Minnesota Vikings have the ball for the second time, and we will see Adrian Peterson in the lineup having a tremendous rookie season.
Your hand all right from yesterday when you met him in the production meeting?
Man, does he have a firm handshake.
That almost broke you off.
That is one big man, strong, and everybody high on him as a running back. And some of the things that he talked about learning, talked to Emmitt Smith last week about having to run against 8- and 9-man fronts, which the Vikings have been seeing. Off the play fake, Jackson completes it to Robert Ferguson up close to the 45-yard line before he shoved back. They give him forward progress of about 5 yards. Champ Bailey with the first hit.
I thought what was wild talking to Brad Childress about Adrian Peterson is they voted as a team for their captains. And he said the rookie by a landslide was nominated by the coaches, by the players, by everybody as the offensive captain. Defensively was E.J. Henderson, special teams Heath Farwell, but it was wild that a rookie by a landslide was named captain of the football team.
On 2nd down, here's Peterson's first carry of the game. He's got 5 up close to the first down line. Looks like he'd be about a half a yard short. Adrian Peterson with over 1,300 yards rushing this season.
Here he's just going to see front side is locked up. Good job by Engelberger there. So he's going to cut it back, get it down inside the crease, and get what he can. You know, so many good backs in this league, and I think the real good ones think more and get more. You know, you think of Reggie Bush and the guy looking for a home run all the time, not successful. You go to the LaDainian Tomlinson, the Brian Westbrooks, and even this guy. They think 4, and more often than not, they end up getting more.
There's 3rd and half a yard. Dugan in motion. Peterson the carry. First down. Fights for extra yardage down to the Broncos' 47-yard line. Marcus Thomas, the rookie defensive tackle out of Florida, with a stop on Adrian Peterson.
And you remember talking, you said Emmitt Smith said about running 8, 9-man fronts, you got to make a guy miss. Watch what he does here to Winborn. Wide open, makes him miss right in the hole. That gives him the first down. And that's what Emmitt Smith told him. He said, look, you're going to run against 8, 9-man fronts. There's going to be an extra guy. You're going to have to make that guy miss and beat him.
Bobby Wade in motion. Peterson, and to cut it back, nothing there. Good job by Champ Bailey. He busted that play. We've got an update coming your way, and for that, we go back to Curt Menefee. Curt, what's happening?
Dallas and Washington Redskins already have a 7-0 lead. Tony Romo gets picked off. Sean Springs going to get it. Redskins marching, trying to go up by 2 scores. Of course, we'll keep you updated on everything that happens in that game, since it does impact the Vikings. Here's Sam and Tim.
Thanks, Curt. Bad news for the Vikings. Redskins sharp to start the game. 2 tight ends in now, Garrett Mills and Visanthe Shiancoe. Jackson with time. And the pass almost intercepted by Hamza Abdullah.
That's a great break on the football, but I'll tell you why he was able to get that break. Abdullah, read the eyes of the quarterback. You sit in zone defense, and the concept of zone for defenders is get to your landmark, read the eyes of the quarterback, and the whole way Tavares Jackson had his eyes on Troy Williamson. That's why you see right there, Abdullah reading the eyes of the quarterback, gets the early break before he can wind it up and get the ball out and almost has a pick.
3rd and 10 for the Vikings. Inside handoff. And it's Chester Taylor busting down to the 25-yard line. Another good run for Taylor. A pickup of 22 on the play. He's having a great start to the game.
And one thing this line does is they pull guys and get them up in the hole. This time it's Ryan Cook, the right tackle. They'll pull him across the formation. Terrific block down by Hutch. Now Chester Taylor's off to the races on the quick inside track.
Taylor 6 carries, 55 yards. Good blocking up front by the Vikings. And you said it right at the top. The offensive line has been outstanding. Here is Adrian Peterson taking it outside. Gets down to about the 22-yard line. The Vikings already have rushed for 84 yards in the game, and that has set a team rushing record for a single season. Their previous record was set in 2002, 2,507 yards. They have surpassed that now with 84 yards rushing already today. What they want to do. What unfortunately happened was the fumble at the goal line by Peterson.
And this has been the biggest thing with this team all year. Ask Mike Shanahan, their inability to stop the run.
Peterson looking for an opening. There's none there. Engelberger was in on the stop, the defensive end. John Engelberger, number 60. Good work up front by the Broncos as they spot the ball close to the 20-yard line. They'll bring up a 3rd and a long 5 for Minnesota.
Isn't that what stuck out with you the most in talking to Shanahan, the coach, on Saturday, that his team's inability to stop the run consistently? And it's gotten better over the last several weeks, but all in all, they've been so inconsistent. Teams have been playing keep away from their offense. He said that has never happened since he's been in Denver.
It's gotten better since they went to 8 men in the box. 2 tight ends in on 3rd down. Short drop by Jackson. Connects with Garrett Mills. His 2nd catch of the game. A 1st down at the 12-yard line. So Garrett Mills in his first NFL game getting a chance to show something here. Picked up 8 and a 1st down.
And John Lynch is matched up on him as he's coming across the formation in motion. And you see him here, and then John Lynch is running with him. He just runs out a bend route out to the sideline. Look at the telegraph by Tavares Jackson. I mean, he is not looking anywhere else except for where he wants to go with the football.
Chester Taylor in the backfield with Tony Richardson. Jackson rolling. In trouble, and the pass batted away by Champ Bailey, who almost caught it. And had he caught it, he was gone. It would have been a touchdown. Mike Shanahan wants another look at that play and how close they came to picking that off.
It looks like he's got the running back in man coverage, as you see here. Now he's just going to pop off of him and now go right to the quarterback. Realizing Tavares Jackson is in trouble, he's going to void his man and get some pressure on the QB. Almost a great play.
Here's 2nd and 10. It's Peterson. Outside again, Trey Blythe pulls him out of bounds at the 4-yard line. Good speed by Adrian Peterson. He picked up 8 on the play. Peterson, who averages 5.9 yards per carry this season. 5.7, excuse me. He's got good speed.
Oh, he's got outstanding, better than good speed, outstanding speed.
Final seconds ticking down in the first quarter. And once again, the Vikings threatening to score. The last time, Chester Taylor dropped the ball at the goal line. And we come to the end of the first quarter. And the Minnesota Vikings offense has been moving well. They're running the ball well, but still no score in the game. The Vikings have to win. Welcome back to Denver. Sam Rosen, Tim Ryan, Tom Helmer. Vikings with a 3rd and 2 at the 4-yard line of the Broncos. Jackson rolling, looking in trouble, and throws it away. Big time pressure by DJ Williams, the middle linebacker, and Jackson able to get rid of it. And the Vikings will send on the field goal kicking unit.
That's one thing Denver does have is speed at the linebacker position. And that time Jamie Winborn, you're going to see here, 51, he's going to flash. And then it's DJ Williams right behind him in terms of the secondary contain. See, there's Winborn who's going to flash immediately. Now DJ coming, trying to force Tavares Jackson into a bad play, a bad mistake. He does the smart thing, the wise thing, by just throwing it away and hoping for 3.
Chris Kluwe is the holder. Colin Leffler is the long snapper, and Ryan Longwell's field goal try is good. 22-yarder. He's 20 for 24 this season. The Vikings have moved out on top, 3-0.
Now there's the head coach Mike Shanahan talking to John Lynch, talking to some of his defenders, saying, look, fellas, we got to figure out how to stop this run game. We've got to stiffen up. We've got to get off the field on 3rd down. That was their first stop there, that last play forcing the field goal. The first time they've converted on 3rd down in terms of getting off the field. Vikings
have been controlling the ball. They had the last possession, 13-play drive. Longwell's kick coming down to Andre Hall at the 2. He's got the wedge in front of him, has a good lane, gets tripped up. Nice tackle by Roniel Whitaker. Defensive back. 24-yard return, and the Broncos start from their 26 with the Vikings leading 3-0. Tough year for Mike Shanahan, only his 2nd losing season in 13 years here in Denver. Tony Scheffler, the tight end, split out. Cutler handing it off. Selvin Young, nice haul. Brought down by Cedric Griffin, but a good run up to the 38-yard line. Pickup of 12 on the play.
Heck of a job by Chris Myers, the center. Watch Myers. He's going to be right here. He's going to combo block right there and then get off to the linebacker. Watch, there's the push, there's the push. Now come off to the backer, seals him. That makes the crease for Selvin Young.
Chris Myers?
Chris Myers.
What's he doing playing center?
He's getting his hair messed up. I don't know what's going on with Chris Myers.
Selvin Young again. I thought you were talking about Fox's Chris Myers. He's doing play-by-play today in Atlanta.
It's all ball all the time for Chris Myers. And, you know, that's one of the guys that Mike Shanahan will talk about. As frustrating as it's been for Mike, and you said it, this has been his most frustrating year in coaching here. There's been guys like Chris Myers. There's been guys like Chris Cooper who have had to play because of injuries to Tommy Nalen, to Ben Hamilton. Some guys up front that have stepped in. And the silver lining to that is in the years ahead, and I'll expect the other guys back, as the depth will be tremendous for this football team up front.
2 tight ends in. It's Young again, getting good blocking up front. Young turns it into a big gain. Darren Sharper took him down with an ankle tackle, but he's down to the 35-yard line. Well, you're not supposed to be able to run against the Vikings. Selvin Young with a beauty, a 20-yard pickup.
And you're not supposed to be able to block elite 3 techniques like Chris Cooper does right here on Kevin Williams. That's the thing that springs this play. Watch the block right there, sealing the 3 technique. Kevin Williams 3 technique outside shade of the guard. That's his play to make. Chris Cooper gets enough of an edge on him that Selvin Young's able to turn the corner on.
Travis Henry has come in at running back, replacing Selvin Young on 1st down. Cutler quickly outside to the tight end, Tony Scheffler. Slips one man and gets out of bounds inside the 25 to the 24-yard line. That's Kevin Williams. He was sick before the game. We understand that he was throwing up before the game. So he's trying to fight through it.
And I think what all teams try to do is run the edges, throw to the edges, quick pass on these guys to condition those defensive tackles. If you can get Kevin Williams and Pat Williams breathing extra hard, obviously it's a leg up in your ability to move the ball.
Split the tight end Scheffler out to the left. Cutler steps back. changing the play. Travis Young remains in at running back. Cutler waits, throws too high for Glenn Martinez, and now flags come in. Martinez is down and hurt.
They're going to get E.J. Henderson for a hit on a defenseless receiver for taking a shot at the head on Glenn Martinez.
And the official is trying to keep the players apart. Martinez, Cutler was looking at him all the way, and the pass was a little too high.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 56. Hit on a defenseless receiver. Half the distance to the goal line, automatic, first down.
Tim Ryan with the call. And E.J. Henderson, the middle linebacker, called for the foul, the penalty.
As the rule is written, if the receiver still has both feet up in the air and is yet to possess the football, you cannot go helmet to helmet on him. And there clearly, E.J. Henderson dips his helmet a little bit. The crown of his helmet is a helmet to helmet shot on Glenn Martinez. Pow! That's the right call. Leaves his feet to hit him too. Big time. Ball spotted at the 12-yard line. Broncos drive, which started at the 26. Selvin Young trying to cut it back and is taken down by Kenechi Udeze. First man to bust up the play was Pat Williams. And then Udeze came in to make the stop for a loss back to the 15-yard line. Pat Williams is a man who is just having another strong year. The two Williams guys up front, both going to the Pro Bowl. How's the elbow and the knee, dog? He said, I got a little December elbow, a little December knee working. He said, I got to go. I got to go.
He said it's a nasty game.
Somebody's got to play it. Here's the beauty of him.
Job.
Here's the beauty of him. He's going to be a nose tackle. At the end of the day of his career, he's going to have over 700 tackles. It's almost unheard of for nose guards in this league.
Two tight ends in, everybody out. Cutler throwing into the end zone. Touchdown! Beautiful grab by Brandon Marshall. His first catch of the game. Brandon Marshall, 7th touchdown of the season. Boy, hasn't he been something. His 93rd catch of the season.
He's had a wonderful year, and Cedric Griffin is in pretty good position here. But watch the throw by Cutler. Just to the outside, he sees that Griffin is to the inside, goes it up and over the inside shoulder, and there's the athleticism, the ability of Brandon Marshall. And cut above most guys that he's playing against. He's just too darn big. He goes up and pulls it down.
Jason Elam with the extra point. And what you talked about, Tim, attacking the corners. Cedric Griffin, smaller, not a ton of experience. They picked on him, and Marshall went up and came down with a beautiful grab. Brandon Marshall finishing off a 6-play, 74-yard drive with a touchdown catch, giving the Broncos a 7-3 lead. Adrian Peterson is back to return the kickoff. He's returned some this season, 13, and averaged over 24 yards per return. Broncos answering back with a real good drive. Mixed up the run and the pass very well on that drive.
Well, they had a little bit of everything. Selvin Young with a couple of big pops. They had one play obviously extended, got some good yards on the helmet-to-helmet defenseless receiver hit on Minnesota defensively, and then the 15-yarder.
Matt Prater kicks it off. Line drive that Peterson grabs head high. Looking for a lane, doesn't have much, bounces off a man, pushes the pile, and a good return across the 30, up to the 31-yard line. Now the Vikings have to get the offense going again after the 31-yard return.
Get it now, wait a minute now, get it now, now. Yeah, it's the cost of the cost. Yeah, it's in PC for the rush.
22 yards rushing thus far today. Brian Westbrook ran for 42 yards for the Eagles. 7 more yards for Adrian Peterson. He will wind up leading the NFC in rushing. Peterson tripped up. That's a nice play by Jamie Winborn. Good tackle, couple of yard pickup for Adrian Peterson. The rookie missed a couple of games. He's averaged, as you saw, better than 100 yards rushing per game this season. He had the 2 monster games this year, the NFL record game against San Diego, 296, and 221 against Chicago.
Well, 221 against Chicago was extremely surprising down at Soldier Field and the way that thing happened. But then the way he backed it up against a good defense like the Chargers with an NFL rushing record for a game, that's the one he said was tremendously special because of the caliber of that defense.
Chester Taylor tried to cut it back, got a couple of yards up to the 26-yard or the 36-yard line. John Lynch in on the tackle. We talked about John Lynch not wanting to get into talk about the future. He says he'll wait. He's going to look at every game he played, analyze every game this season, talk with people in the offseason, talk with his family to determine whether he wants to continue. He says he still loves to play the game, but he wants to be around his family and his kids a lot more now.
I told him in watching the tape they ought to just put a 5 right there instead of that 4. Because he's playing linebacker. He should be wearing number 57.
On third down, pressure on Jackson, and he's buried. Good rush from the outside by Elvis Dumervil. There's a flag down on the play. Dumervil, who goes 5'11", 260, is matched up against Brian McKinney.
Offense, number 62. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Tell you what they do with him. That time they moved him over to the left side
right.
to let him rush on Ryan Cook, and he just ran the speed rush on Ryan Cook, who had no chance. I mean, he used that leverage and that speed off the edge. All defensive linemen love to get to a half a man. He was able to do that. He turned the corner. Cook had to hold it.
And Ryan Cook is 6'6", 328. Brian McKinney on the other side is 6'8", 335. First punt of the game for Chris Kluwe. Good kick. Glenn Martinez watches it bounce and go out of bounds. A good punt by Kluwe down to the 17-yard line. But the Broncos have the lead on the Vikings, 7-3. We have to change that 4 to a 1. It's first down for the Broncos.
Well, you can read that right here. Oh, it just moved. There it is.
Linesman says, okay, put the 1 up. Now we're ready to go from the 17. Selvin Young at running back. 2 tight ends in. Tony Scheffler split out. They go outside of Brandon Marshall. Marshall, nice cutback. He is outstanding after the catch. It's time for an update on what's going on in Washington with the Redskins. For that, let's go to Kurt Menefee.
Hey, Washington trying to put pressure on the Dallas Cowboys and get into the playoffs. This is Clinton Porter's taking the catch, and it ends up setting up a Sean Sweesom field goal and a 10-0 Redskin lead. Back to Denver, and Sam and Tim, I didn't know you guys were in charge of the officiating crew as well. You do everything.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are, Kurt. Selvin Young on first down, gets up to the 36-yard line, picks up 4 on the play. Jake Cutler is starting his 21st game since taking over from Jake Plummer, and last year he said was feeling out, just finding out about the league. This year he knows the league better, and he's coming along. The completion percentage over 60%. The completions, you saw that touchdown pass to Brandon Marshall, coming more frequently. A rush from the outside, and Ben Lieber takes him down. Cutler did not have escapability there. Lieber stayed with him, grabbed a handful of jersey, and pulled him down.
Well, Cutler does have escapability, but Lieber is a finisher and always has been since they got him from San Diego. And he'll be coming from out here. Watch him press it. He does not take any of this cheese going this way. He is just going to press it straight upfield. Now he reads it. Now, boom, close the gap on the quarterback. Cutler, a lot more athletic than people give him credit for. What Lieber does there is just grab cloth and is able to get him down.
Loss of 12.
That's the 5th sack on the year for Ben Lieber, who's had a nice season. I'll tell you, Minnesota is absolutely set when you look at their linebacker core.
They are good. Out of the shotgun on 3rd and long. They throw short to Tony Scheffler. The tight end gets across the 30, and he's taken down by Charles Gordon along with Chad Greenway. And the Broncos are forced to punt. So the sack, a big play for the Vikings. Tony Scheffler goes off. He's had a good year for the Broncos. Welding Moore is deep. Third punt for Sam Pelescu out of Oregon State. On the tryout this week with 6 or 7 punters in on a snowy field. Mewelde Moore watches it go out of bounds inside the 30-yard line at the 28.
You know, defensive coordinators always love dialing up the right defenses, but they need guys to execute. They need guys to finish. Ben Lieber finishes big time.
Running backs coach Eric Bieniemy, well known around these parts, has started at the University of Colorado, and he's done a good job for the Vikings. Especially youngster Adrian Peterson says the coach is always in my face. He's always on me. Chester Taylor and Tony Richardson in the backfield. Tavares Jackson with time. Puts it up deep. He's got a man wide open. And Williamson dropped it. Troy Williamson dropped it. He was 10 yards ahead of the field. Oh.
Well, and that may just seal it, his time in Minnesota. This guy was a top 10 pick. He was number 7 overall. He came in. Getting open has never been a problem. And here the defense busts. They bite some teaser routes. Look at how wide open he is. Nobody around him for 30 or for 15 yards. Hits him right in the middle of the chest plate, and he can't hang on. Man. That has been his M.O. And listen, when you're a receiver in pro football, I think your job description is you got to be able to catch. And he hasn't been able to catch since he got to Minnesota.
They've tried everything. They checked his eyes. Chester Taylor, nice cutback. Good run by Taylor. It's a first down up to the 41-yard line. Taylor having a good start to this game. Picked up 13 and has now rushed for 70 yards on 8 carries.
Chester's done a fine job of really just vision and finding the hole and breaking some tackles. You know, think about Tavares Jackson and all the heat he's been under for the young quarterback. You go out and make plays like Troy Williams, if you could just make a play, what that does for your QB's confidence, what that does for his numbers, it's night and day.
Taylor again. Good hold. The blocking has been splendid up front, but he dropped the ball. Taylor's second fumble of the game. It's recovered by the Broncos. And Childress arguing that he might have been down by contact. Up with the ball comes Elvis Dumervil.
I think Abdullah was the guy that was able to knock it out. The free safety right in the middle of the back end of the defense. You'll see Chester Taylor. He's going to get right up inside on the lead play. Watch 41 here. Abdullah will come flying in. Oh, no, it's Engelberger. Yeah. John Engelberger knocked it out.
That ball definitely out. So Chester Taylor, who fumbled on the first possession at the goal line when he was reaching for the pylon, now loses this one. That one turned into a touchback. This one is recovered by the Broncos. Off the play fake. Cutler, nobody open. Buys time and throws and completes it. And the ball popped loose. Brandon Marshall lost it. Did he get it back? It might have bounced right back to him. Broncos have it. Oh, lucky break for Denver as the ball popped out of the hands of Brandon Marshall and came right back to him at the Vikings 37-yard line.
Well, he lucks out at the end of that the ball did bounce his way, but what a clever play by Brandon Marshall. Jay Cutler wanted him deep, right down the seam route. Watch him take off. Jay Cutler wants him. Now he realizes the quarterback's in trouble. Now watch him come back to the ball. Now he realizes now it's a scramble drill. The quarterback, the play is broken down. He's out of the pocket. And the general rule, when you're deep, come shallow back to the quarterback. He did it. Good execution.
How about rolling over and the ball's bouncing right to you? Selvin Young carrying down to the 31-yard line. Pickup of 6 on the play. Marshall coming back onto the field. It'll be interesting to see what Mike Shanahan and the Broncos do in the offseason at the wide receiver position. Javon Walker injured a good portion of this year. Rod Smith looks like he'll have to have more hip surgery, and that could be it for his great career.
Well, and can you count on Brandon Stokely going into next year with his injury issues also?
He's inactive today. Young trying to get outside. He does. He's got the whole sideline. And he's in. Touchdown. Dwight Smith missed him. There is a flag down back at the 34-yard line. What a run by Selvin Young.
Holding offense, number 73. 10-yard penalty, replay, second down.
The left guard, Chris Cooper, with the hold, negates a 31-yard touchdown run.
There's the matchup right there. It's the same play they ran earlier where he was able to block Kevin Williams. That time Kevin's able to press him. There's the hold, just pulling him back on that backside shoulder. The line judge is going to call it every time. Because if you don't hold Kevin Williams right there, he makes that play.
That's a nice run by Selvin Young.
You got to love that little free agent, Selvin Young, huh?
The Broncos won't have a 1,000-yard rusher for the first time since 2001, but Selvin Young is developing into something special. Travis Henry now in the backfield. Ball back at the 42. Cutler wide open is the tight end, Chad Mustard, and Mustard gets down to the 26-yard line, and that's a first down. With Daniel Graham out injured, Chad Mustard getting some good playing time last week and again this week.
Here comes the blitz, right to the right side of Jay Cutler. You're going to see Ben Lieber, 51, flash right there. Good read by Cutler as Lieber voids his zone. That's where Scheffler goes and sits down.
First down, says Chad. Andre Hall is in at running back for the Broncos and carries. He's got speed. And he's down inside the 20 to the 16-yard line. Ben Lieber took him down. Now it seems as if the Broncos running away from those tackles to the outside.
Well, that's what you got to do. You're not going to run it up the gut with a lot of success. This time they do a lot of down blocking and pull around. Forget the zone stuff. They'll do the angle blocking. They'll block down. They'll pull Cooper out. He's able to get a chop down on Greenway, and that springs the running back Hall.
Ball picked up 10. Stays in the game. From the 16. Quick outside of Brandon Marshall. Slips Dwight Smith. And another one. Missed tackles along the way as Marshall gets down to the 2-yard line. Ben Lieber finally took him down, but Brandon Marshall, once he gets his hand on the ball, he is tough to take down.
Well, he's one of the best guys in the league at yards after the catch. He goes about 230 pounds. He's got all the physical skill that you want. Mike Shanahan, as a matter of fact, talking about him, said physically he's a top 5 pick. And I love the way they're using him. Get the ball out quick, in space, let him break a tackle. He's got it down to about the 2-yard line.
First and goal, Selvin Young hit by E.J. Henderson. Good job by the middle linebacker. Coming through and making the stop at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play. Vikings could be in some serious trouble here if the Broncos take it in. They trail Denver 7-3, and Washington is leading 10-0 at home against Dallas. We've come to the 2-minute warning. Mike Shanahan looking at the play chart, ready to call a play that he hopes will be a touchdown. Back in Denver with the Broncos threatening at the Vikings 2-yard line. And the defense for the Vikes has to come up with something big here.
Yeah, they've gotten creased a little bit. Denver did not try to run the ball at all in the first quarter. They've come out here in the second quarter, and they've done a pretty good job chipping away with that defense.
Here's second and goal. Cutler still has it, looking, throwing, and touchdown! Tony Scheffler, the tight end. Second touchdown pass thrown by Jay Cutler, his 20th of the season.
That's a terrific job right here. Here's Scheffler. The guy covering him, E.J. Henderson, 57. He's just going to go get on the inside leverage and then pivot to the inside. See 56? Now he'll pivot back to the inside, and there's the touchdown. Good find by Jay Cutler.
Jason Elam, 601 point after touchdowns converted for Jason Elam. For Tony Scheffler, the touchdown grab. And the Broncos with a 14-3 lead.
Here's the touchdown, Sam. Good tight ends read leverage. There's Scheffler right there. The X right there is E.J. Henderson, who's going to cover him. He reads that E.J. gets too far outside. He's got the inside leverage on the linebacker, so watch him just pivot around, turn inside. There's the open throwing lane for the touchdown.
fifth touchdown catch of the season for Tony Scheffler. He's had a terrific year. Broncos with a 14-3 lead. They've won 3 straight at home and 4 of their last 5. They are tough to beat here.
I think over the years, they're one of the best teams in terms of the home venue in the entire National Football League.
Tough to come here. Adrian Peterson back again to return the kick of Matt Prater. And a 31-yard return previously. And the ball comes off the tee with the wind swirling in the stadium. Picking up there. There we go. That's what's going on around the area. It's clouded up a little bit from the start of the game where we had bright sunshine. Matt Prater set to go. Peterson awaiting. Peterson. Took it deep, and he will take a knee. Tough ball to handle. Good kickoff by Prater. Now the Vikings down 14-3. Have got to get something going. They hope to be part of the postseason situation, which begins on Fox next week. And we've got a big game coming your way in the NFC Wild Card playoffs. And we will take you on Fox right through the NFC playoffs and the Super Bowl here on Fox in Glendale, Arizona. Vikings have to win and hope that Dallas can come back and beat Washington. And right now, Washington's leading 10-0. Chester Taylor picks up 5 on the play, maybe 6. Taylor's been the workhorse. John Lynch with the tackle. John Lynch, who's had himself an outstanding career.
What'd you think of talking to him the other day? Is this his swan song? I don't think it is. I get the feeling, John Lynch wants to play some more football.
It'll be a tough call. Jackson's pass intended for Bobby Wade is incomplete. Time for another update. Let's get that from Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles. Kurt.
Well, some good news for Vikings fans for a change. Todd Collins gets stripped of the football here. Dallas recovers, and it sets up a 37-yard Nick Folk field goal. And now it's just a one-score game with Washington up 10-3. Back to Sam and Tim.
Well, Kurt, and as you said, they need those Dallas Cowboys to beat the Redskins. I'll tell you, Brad Childress right now in the first half of this game has no one to blame but his players for missed opportunities. The touchdown, it ended up being a touchback because of the fumble, and then, of course, the drop pass by Troy Williams.
Jamie Winborn all over Chester Taylor on that screen pass. He just blew it up. Minnesota Vikings have not scored a first-half touchdown the last 3 weeks, including this one.
But I'm telling you, it's missed opportunities. That first drive, Chester Taylor, it looks like he's in for a touchdown. He fumbles it right in front of the pylon, ends up being a touchback. Put some time back on the clock here. And then Troy Williamson deep on that 9 route, right down or 8 route, just down the seam. And he drops it. It hits him right between the numbers. 12 points right there. That's 2 touchdowns they should have had.
Make a big difference between winning and losing, making the playoffs or not. There's Williamson, who had the big drop. 3 and out on this series for Minnesota. So the Broncos will get the ball back with some time on the clock. They used the timeout. Glenn Martinez standing at his own 30-yard line. His second punt of the game. Martinez from the 31. There's a flag on the play. Martinez returns across the 45 to the 46. Brought down by Eric Frampton. And Jerome Boger will check out the flag. The consultation with the side judge. Broncos have played a good first half after the opening drive by the Vikings, where they fumbled at the goal line for a touchback.
During the kick, unnecessary roughness, receiving team, number 22. Contact on the player while he was out of bounds. 15-yard penalty from the end of the kick. First down, Denver.
Well, and you know, if you're containing one of those gunners on the punt team, as Dominic Foxworth was there, you've got to let that guy, once you drive him out of bounds, you've got to give him the opportunity to get back in the field of play. If you hit him anywhere out of bounds or on the white stripe, the hat comes off from the side judge to identify where it happened and what the foul was, and everyone call you on it.
So the Broncos, instead of having the ball up the 46-yard line, will start from their own 19 with 2 timeouts remaining. Glenn Martinez in as the third wide receiver, along with Javon Walker and Brandon Marshall. Selvin Young in the backfield, and Cutler, who's 12 for 15. Selvin Young across the 25 up to the 26-yard line. Picked up 7 on the play. Clock running, and the Broncos decide to huddle up. The Visa halftime report is coming up next. Kurt, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy in the studio with scores and highlights from around the league. Fox Sports Ticker gets you updated on your fantasy teams and players. Here's Selvin Young again, bouncing it outside and down at the 27, maybe the 28-yard line. Fans want the Broncos to go for it.
How many defensive touchdowns have Minnesota scored on defense this year?
A lot.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be going for it.
And Greenway, he had one against the Giants with an interception return. But right now, the Broncos are the story. The offense clicking. Tavares Jackson, just 5 for 11, 37 yards in the first half. They ran the ball well, especially with Chester Taylor. Jay Cutler, solid first half. 2 touchdown passes, 12 for 15, and the Broncos lead 14-3.
The Visa Halftime Report is sponsored by Visa, proud sponsor of the NFL. Life takes Visa.
And we welcome you to the Visa Halftime Report. Kurt Menefee along with Terry, Howie, and Jimmy as we catch up on what's going on.
Remember, Broncos, that's what's going on. Jay Cutler, Brandon Marshall. Brandon Marshall's having huge games, over 300, 103 games of over 100 yards already this season. 15-yarder there, 7-3 Denver. And then Cutler to Tony Scheffler, 2-yard touchdown. It's 14-3 Broncos over the Minnesota Vikings at halftime. Clinton Portis, get it loaded, get it going. You got a big game, young man. Beat the Cowboys, and the Redskins travel to Seattle to play in the playoff. Portis, 23-yard touchdown run. That gets it started in the right direction, 10-3, with a minute remaining in the first half. Washington on top of Dallas.
And the Arizona Cardinals crushing St. Louis with a minute to go in the first half of that one, while Kansas City tries to end an 8-game losing streak, and Herm Edwards returned to visit the Jets.
All right, out of the eye, shift over to the wing. San Diego at Oakland. Phillip Rivers, 19-yard strike. There it is to Chambers. There it is in the end zone. Big first half, 14-7 Chargers on top of the Oakland Raiders. That now in the third quarter. Pittsburgh at the Baltimore Ravens. Corey Ross breaks the tackle, takes it in, 32-yard touchdown. Baltimore Ravens on top of the Pittsburgh Steelers, 17-7. That with 21 seconds remaining in the first half.
Of course, the Ravens have lost 9 in a row trying to end that. Hey, New Orleans falls in Chicago. Their playoff season hopes are done. Green Bay finishes at 13-3, knocking off the Lions for the 16th straight time at Lambeau Field. Cleveland just sits back and waits to see what happens with Tennessee tonight. Carolina knocks off Tampa Bay, who loses their last 2, but they already have the division clinched. Atlanta ends a 6-game losing streak. They beat Seattle in a high-scoring affair. Houston finishes at 500 for the first time in franchise history. Andre Davis, 2 kick returns for touchdowns in that game. The Eagles finish at 8-8 on the season, while Buffalo ends it at 7-9. And Cincinnati makes sure that Miami finishes with just 1 win on the season, 38-25. And, you know, Jimmy, this is a situation where Minnesota had to do a little scoreboard watching with Washington, but if they don't win, it doesn't matter what Washington does.
Yeah, they've really cost themselves with the turnovers. And you look at this football team, you got Chester Taylor, everybody's talking about Adrian Peterson. Chester Taylor over 800 yards rushing this year, 10 carries for 83 yards. They can still get back into this game. They've got a running game. He's a good football player. You don't want to give up. Everybody's saying, well, trade him, get some more picks. Keep both of these running backs. Just improve the problem areas.
The play at the goal line, a turning point. Minnesota's really not built to come from behind. Jackson struggling, in particular quarterback. New Orleans didn't show up earlier, and Minnesota struggling on the road in Denver.
All right, well,
must-win games.
They'll need to come back and try and win this one. We'll keep you updated as to what's going on in Washington in the second half as your game continues.
The Visa Halftime Report is sponsored by Visa, proud sponsor of the NFL. Life takes Visa.
Never too late to live your life. The time is now, it's your time. Never too late to live your life. The time is now, it's yours and mine.
The song is Do or Die, and the time is now for the Minnesota Vikings. They are down 14-3. They must win this game to stay alive in the playoff race, plus get Dallas to come from behind to beat Washington. That game is 10-3 with Washington leading. As far as the Minnesota Vikings are concerned, they had the opportunities early and still no touchdowns in the first half.
Well, I think a couple of observations. First of all, a little surprised at how Denver has been able to chip away at him at the running game out on the edges. And then I think on top of that, Sam, it was the missed opportunities. All about the missed opportunities in the first half, because Chester Taylor was doing a good job of running the football, but on the first drive, that right there looked like it was a touchdown. Matter of fact, called a touchdown by the side judge after review. It ends up being a touchback. Then another fumble here in midfield by Chester Taylor, and then this big one. A missed opportunity by Troy Williamson. Surely a touchdown if he catches it. Right now, the Minnesota Vikings and Brad Childress have no one to blame but themselves.
Adrian Peterson set to receive the kickoff to start the second half. Tavares Jackson had a so-so first half.
Tell you what,
but
his numbers look a lot better if 82 catches that ball for a touchdown.
Right. You know, he's one of those guys, he's a second-year quarterback. You don't want to put the game in his hands. And they were not able to get the lead. Peterson from the 3. He's got the wedge, he's got an opening, he slips one man. Nice cutback and a good return by Adrian Peterson up to the 33-yard line. Tom Helmer's got an update and a report on what the coaches are thinking. Tom.
Yeah, I talked to Brad Childress as he came out of the tunnel there, and I said, what's the biggest problem? He said 14 points off of turnovers, dropping the ball at the pylon, those kind of mistakes they need to fix. He's also concerned about the right side of his defensive line. He says they need to step it up and play better. As far as the Broncos, Mike Shanahan very happy with the way his front line's been playing, considering how talented the Vikings are up front. Guys?
Thank you, Tom. Adrian Peterson starts the second half at running back. Straight ahead, gets up across the 35 to the 37, a pick up a 4 on the play. Check out some first half statistics and see what they look like. If you're a fantasy player, Jay Cutler had a good first half. 12 for 15, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns. Adrian Peterson, 7 carries, 25 yards. Brandon Marshall, 4 catches, 56 yards, 1 touchdown. Chester Taylor, 10 carries, 83 yards. Robert Ferguson in as the third wide receiver. Jackson with time. Puts it up deep again, this time for Ferguson. As he jostles with Champ Bailey, it's incomplete, overthrown. Ferguson wants to know about the contact with Champ Bailey.
Well, he looked like he was the guy initiating most of the contact. He's just going to run a post route. Look at how Champ Bailey just makes it look easy. He's going to get right in his hip pocket. There's the contact between both of them. Both of them are looking at the football, so that's not going to be a call by the back judge. Doesn't Champ Bailey just make that deep coverage look easy?
He does. Andre Allison in as the third wide receiver for Minnesota on 3rd and 6. Blitz coming. Jackson is hit. He throws and the ball is dropped. Dropped again by Troy Williamson. 2 bad drops for Williamson in the game.
Well, and I feel the worst for Tavares Jackson. Watch how he eludes this pressure. Dumerville coming up inside. There's the outside blitz. Dre Bly, he's going to get just enough away from Dre, throws an absolute strike on the run, and again, right in the chest plate, pow. You know, a lot of times with receivers, and I think I've seen Troy Williamson do that a lot, he tries to catch it with his body rather than getting his hands out and going and capturing the football. Another big-time drop.
Chris Kluwe just got that kick away, and it bounces out of bounds. inside the 25-yard line. They'll spot it at the 23. The Vikings got to find a way. Now that's tough. That is tough. Bronco fans with a shot at the Vikings. They drove a long way. That's Troy Williamson. He has had a tough day. Cutler quickly outside to Scheffler. The tight end gets a couple of yards up to the 25-yard line.
I love the game plan by Mike Shanahan and what he's doing with Jay Cutler. Get it out quick. Do not allow those pass rushers, especially on the interior, to get to you. And then what you're doing is you're forcing those big dudes in the middle to run. I mean, defensive linemen are taught all day long, play from snap to whistle, and you get it outside, and those guys got to turn and run out there to try to make the tackle. And they get to be breathing hard right around third down, just what Denver wants.
Scheffler splits out right. The pass is left to Brandon Marshall, and a good tackle by Cedric Griffin. That's a good play by Griffin, closing quickly and making a short tackle, and Marshall gets up limping. This is his fifth catch. He limps to the sideline in some pain. Placed by Glenn Martinez.
This little missile screen, just trying to get it out on the island. We'll just see what happened there.
A good play.
That's a heck of a play by, looked like, hard to see, but looked like his left ankle got caught up in there, kind of funny in the turf.
On third and long, Cutler being chased by Udeza, gets rid of it, and it's caught. Van Lieber with a hard tackle on Selvin Young out of the backfield, right near the first down line. This will be close.
The athleticism of Jay Cutler, nobody knows about. You know, he ran a 4.6 at the NFL Combine. He can move a little bit. And right here, as he's got Kenechi Udeze and a couple other guys bearing down on him from behind, enough escapability just to get it out there for, I guess, looked like a completion right at the first down mark.
Here come the chains to check it out. And a very important spot here for the Minnesota Vikings. And just enough, first down. Cutler makes a good play, running to his left, being chased by big Kenechi Udeze, and he was able to find Selvin Young. Marshall being tended to by the trainers on the sideline.
The thing about Jay Cutler, and you were talking about him earlier, as much as they played from behind this year, as much as he's had injuries with his offensive line, his best receiver, Javon Walker, at the start of the year not being able to go after week 2 or 3. All in all, I think it's been pretty good. Numbers pretty good playing from behind all year long.
There's a challenge from Brad Childress on the spot. So they're going to...
Progress spot on first down.
So with the chains being stretched, giving the first down by inches to Denver, Brad Childress decides to challenge the spot. This will be difficult, but it's very, very important. Cutler on the move. Finds Selvin Young. And he hopes it's a first down. Brandon Marshall, number 15, along the sideline, testing that left leg. He was on the bike. Right now, under review is the spot of the last play.
I don't think Jerome Boger is going to have enough to overturn this. The ball's got to get to the 33.5, close to the 34-yard line, and you can see there as Cutler unloads it. Selvin Young, where's the football when that knee touches down? Looks like it's right around the 33.5, 34. And I think from the looks that we've got up here and the ones that the official has down there in the monitor, I don't think he can overturn this.
After reviewing the play, the rule of the field stands. First down, Denver. Minnesota will be charged as first team timeout.
Timeout, but it's a play. It's a challenge that Brad Childress had to make. I mean, you're talking about a few inches, and if somehow they can get that, they would force Denver to punt. So I can understand the challenge at that point.
Boy, I hope they don't need a timeout late, because it would be for Brad Childress to be able to see from that far sideline to where that ball was and to be able to call that quick challenge.
I think maybe somebody gave him a call from upstairs.
It was a quick call.
Two tight ends, Scheffler and Mustard. Scheffler split out to the right. on first down. Cutler's throw is batted up in the air and caught by Cutler, and it fell incomplete. Cutler had a streak of 11 consecutive completions, and that now is broken.
The big fella, Pat Williams, right up the middle in that A gap, which is the gap in between the center and the guard. He got into the crease and was able to bat it down and went up in the air. And then you saw Cutler, who didn't catch it, tried to bat it down and went to the ground before being an incomplete pass.
2nd and 10 for the Broncos. Selvin Young is the running back. Cutler gets time, completes to Brandon Marshall, spinning away. Marshall with a first down up to the 49-yard line. He was acquired off the practice squad of Miami, and he gets up limping again and heading for the sideline.
Watch the blitz pickup, because E.J. Henderson's going to try to get up in the middle. This is where Denver had problems last week against San Diego. They seal it up beautifully. That's just great work by Chris Myers and Chris Cooper to identify that gut pressure blitz coming up the middle and to be able to diffuse it. Gives Cutler enough time on the comeback route for Brandon Marshall.
And challenging the rookie, Marcus McCauley, playing in place of Antoine Winfield, is inactive today. Javon Walker made Griffin miss. A little stiff arm on Ben Lieber, pushed him and forced him out of bounds at the 44-yard line of Minnesota. Pickup of 7 on the play, excuse me. Cutler has made some sure passes in the game. He's gotten good protection up front.
I like the plan. I like the opportunity and the Shanahan's given him just to get it out quick, get it to your playmakers, have those guys break a couple of tackles, which they've been able to do.
Straight ahead, Selvin Young slowed down as he nears the 40, nears close to the first down line. Pat Williams came out in favor of that man, Spencer Johnson, number 97. This will bring up a 3rd and 1 for the Broncos. Jamie Mitchell is in the game at defensive end, replacing Brian Robinson for Minnesota. Important play here for the Vikings. 2 tight ends in. Selvin Young, and he stopped. Good work. They went straight ahead.
Yeah,
E.J. Henderson filling with a good tackle.
Well, I think clearly they decided they're going to try to run it right up the gut because Pat Williams wasn't out there, and E.J. Henderson, 56, keep your eye on him as he fills this hole.
And the Broncos will go for it.
Boy, Kevin Williams just chews that double team in half.
Here's 4th and 1. Selvin Young, the running back. 2 tight ends in. Scheffler and Mustard. Fake toss. Cutler throws. First down. And Scheffler breaks a tackle. And down to the 25-yard line. Nice play. Good play fake by Cutler. And the tight end, Tony Scheffler, is the key man.
I thought it was a great call from Shanahan. He's not in motion. He's going to start here, but at the snap against the grain, right behind the line of scrimmage, he's able to outflank the defense, and Cutler can get it to him. See, everybody going this way, they get him out to the right. He's able to get the leverage edge on Sharper and gets himself a nice first down.
Brandon Marshall back in for Denver. Andre Hall is running back. They picked up 18 on the last play. Here's Hall. He's stopped by Brian Robinson, the rookie defensive end out of Texas, 4th-round draft pick. And they have high hopes for him.
And Lepsis jumps so far outside. Watch how far Lepsis tries to get outside, not aware that Robinson has got an inside gap charge. Plays it perfectly for the tackle for loss.
Loss of a yard on the play.
Be interesting to see how Minnesota identifies what defensive ends they want to go into next year with. Think of all the injuries they've had this year with Rasmus James, Ray Edwards. I mean, that's an area, when you look at this defense, they've got to get the edges shored up in terms of the pass rush for the Vikings.
11th play of the drive, and now Jay Cutler steps back and calls a timeout. Denver controlling the football. They have a nice lead of 14-3 and threatening to add to it. The postseason begins on Fox next Sunday. And who will be in it? Vikings would love to be in it, but they've got a long way to come back. And right now, Washington is leading Dallas 13-3 in the third quarter. If Washington wins, they are the 6th seed in the NFC.
I don't know about you, but Minnesota looks flat
They really
all of a
do,
sudden
don't
in the
they?
second half.
Right now, the Broncos controlling off the play fake. Cutler to the end zone. Broke it up. E.J. Henderson got back. Brandon Marshall, the intended receiver.
This is where you want to hit the cover 2 defense right down the middle. Here's Marshall here. He's just going to get down the seam and take it to the middle of the field. He's going to get behind the linebacker, E.J. Henderson. Cutler looks like he puts it up perfectly. Yeah, and it just deflected enough off of E.J. Henderson, who got into the throwing lane to where Brandon Marshall couldn't get it. That is the matchup they wanted, though. Their guy deep behind the linebacker versus that cover 2 zone.
Here's 3rd down and 10. Shovel pass Selvin Young. He's surrounded. And no gain on the play. As he's brought down at the 25-yard line, the field goal kicking unit comes out. Jason Elam.
One thing to look at here is Jay Cutler holding for Jason Elam. I believe this is going to be the 3rd holder of the year for Jason Elam in terms of the guy that's holding for the field goal.
Elam has made his last 13 field goal tries. This one from 43 is on the way. Hooking inside the upright. Elam puts 3 on the board. He's the all-time man for the Denver Broncos, and he's good from 43. 17-3 Denver. Long way to come back for the Minnesota Vikings. As they await the kickoff, Adrian Peterson deep. Jay Cutler was 7 for 9 on that last 13-play drive. And he has thrown some sure passes. He is 19 for 24 in the game.
Well, and it's the right game plan. They're hitting the Vikings where they've been weak all year, and that's in pass defense.
Matt Prater to kick it off for Denver. Vikings need a big play. And they get a big run back from Peterson. Peterson from the 5. Has the wedge, has the lane. Slowed down, he gets back to the 30-yard line. Well, 2 weeks from tonight on Fox, it's the series premiere of Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. The machines are back, and only a mother's love for her son can save the future. Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, premieres 2 weeks from tonight on Fox. Viewer discretion is advised.
You remind me of that guy, the Hyper Alloy Combat Chassis.
No, maybe Arnold would remind. Arnold should make a cameo in that show. From the 30, Tavares Jackson handing off, and nothing happening for Adrian Peterson. Broncos with an outstanding job. Vikings have not been able to get going offensively. First 2 drives, 23 plays, 134 yards, but since then, just 12 plays and 32 yards on offense.
Think about this. They started the game 5 for 5 on 3rd down. Since then, 0 for 4 on 3rd down offensively for the Vikings.
Troy Williamson out. Andre Allison is the 3rd wide receiver. 2 big drops for Williamson in the game. Tavares Jackson connecting with Robert Ferguson. And Ferguson is up to the 37-yard line. Bring up a 3rd and 3, his 2nd catch of the game.
You know, that's what Tavares Jackson does good. Get to that final step, whether it's a 3-step or a 5-step, and get the ball out. When he knows where he's going, and he knows he can get there on his final step, and that time being his first read, he's certainly got the arm strength and the accuracy to make it happen. He has got a cannon for an arm. It's just how he uses it, and if he can get it out on time.
He can get the ball downfield. We saw that earlier. Now, 3 receivers to the right side. Chester Taylor goes in motion. Jackson gets time and finds Ferguson. And he's got a first down across the 40. Champ Bailey with a tackle.
Well, and it's classic West Coast stuff. They'll go here, and then they'll end up getting him right inside. See, there's an inside route. There's an outside route, which is going to actually shield Champ Bailey from getting there to Robert Ferguson. And That's a staple of the West Coast. Send one teaser out there, send another guy down the middle to get a little deflection or a little bit of pick to get a short completion for the first down.
Hamza Abdullah out, injured, went to the sideline. That toss dropped by Peterson. He falls on it back at the 30-yard line. Loss of 11 yards on the play. See what happened on this play.
He just took his eyes off the ball.
It
was a perfect pitch.
Peterson missed it.
Maybe a tad bit high on the pitch from Tavares Jackson, but certainly one that. That's perfect. Adrian Peterson should have had that. He was looking at the defense before he was able to corral the football.
Dominic Foxworth is in at safety, replacing the injured Hamza Abdullah for Denver. Jackson down, sack. Josh Mallard broke through after Jackson couldn't find anyone open on the play. Second sack of the game for the Broncos.
And there's Mallard right there, and he's a guy who's really started to flash over the last couple of games. There he's just working the bull rush, not quitting, gets two guys on him, down to the ground, still scratching and clawing for the ankles, and gets himself a sack. Love it.
Jackson pulled it down. Mallard pulls him down. 3rd and 24. Wonder what Brad Childress come up with on this play. Jackson fires and connects, but it's short of the first down. The catch made by Vicente Shanko. Excuse me, by Bobby Wade, his first catch of the game. It brings up a 4th down. The Vikings are forced to punt. Good pass.
Well, you can see evidence now. There's illustrations all over the board that if he's got time and can feel comfortable in getting the ball out on time, he's got an arm. And he threaded that knee right in between about 3 defenders, but about 5 yards short of the first down.
Chris Cluey's 4th punt of the game. Outstanding and getting the punts down inside the 20-yard line. This one, good kick. Glenn Martinez from the 6. Picks up a couple of blocks. Nice return by Martinez to the 17-yard line. Heath Farwell on the stop for Minnesota. 52-yard punt, 9-yard return. Broncos are winning on both sides of the ball. Brad Childress talking to his guys on the bench.
Well, and you can tell he's saying, look, fellas, we got to get it going. There's going to be some momentum shifts, some changes in this game. Let's not be complacent. Let's go. Let's up-tempo. Let's press the issue.
Right now it's Denver up-tempo with Cutler hitting Brandon Marshall. 7th catch of the game for Brandon Marshall. That's 99 on the season. We go down to the field of our Tom Helmer. Tom.
Yeah, guys, Brad Childress went to everybody on the bench and said, it's going to swing back. Keep your heads up. It's going to swing back. The momentum's going to come back our way. Stay in this one. So he's trying to keep his guys up.
Well, and I think he's sensing the same thing we were from up here, that the guys have come out in the second half, and they have been flat.
Matt Williams stays out of the game. He's been banged up. Right here's Selvin Young on the carry for a couple of yards across the 30-yard line. But in order for the momentum to swing back, Vikings need a play. Somebody's got to make a play, either on defense, on offense. Right now, the defense has to come up with a big play.
Well, if you think of what the defense has done all year and taking the ball away and scoring touchdowns, that's been the staple of these guys. Now, over the last couple of weeks, they haven't been able to do that. They need to get back to it. They have yet to force a turnover today. They've got to help make some plays for their offense.
Quiet game for Adrian Peterson. 9 carries, 28 yards. Cutler on 2nd down. Rolling and completing, and that is catch number 100 on the season for Brandon Marshall. How about that? What a year he's had. Guy that was picked up from the Miami Dolphins practice squad. 100 catches, only the 4th player in Broncos history to catch 100 passes in a season.
Well, and Shanahan's given him a great opportunity to make plays, because look how they roll Cutler out to the right, recognizing all the blitz stuff coming up the middle from his left, little half roll to the right, and is able to find Brandon Marshall. They said physically cut above everybody else. If they could get him on the same page mentally in terms of the consistency, sky's the limit for Brandon Marshall.
Rod Smith was the last one with 100 catches in the 2001 season. Here's Marshall again. And he's brought down by Cedric Griffin at the 46-yard line.
We were talking to Matt Lepsis on Friday, the longtime left tackle, about Brandon Marshall, and I said, what about this guy? I mean, he's got 92 catches coming in. He looks physically, he looks dominant. He said, I told him this, that if you just watch a guy like Rod Smith and you pattern yourself after Rod Smith and do the things that he has done in the facility with the work ethic, it will all take care of itself. So I think as you look at it, Rod Smith and some of the fellas, tremendous mentors, having guys like that in the house for Brandon Marshall.
Here's Selvin Young. Pat Williams is back in the game for Minnesota, defensive tackle. Young picks up 3 on the play, and the Broncos controlling the football as much as the Vikings controlled it at the start of the game in their first 2 possessions. Now it's Denver's ball, and they're not giving it up.
It's classic Denver football. It's what hasn't happened consistently all year for Mike Shanahan. Said it earlier in the game. He said teams have been playing keep away from us. We have not been able to consistently shut down the run. That's been our biggest nemesis. Today, certainly since the first drive, they've been able to do that. And then on their side of the ball, they've been able to control it and play keep away. And pretty good two-way there between Rod Smith and Brandon Marshall.
Yeah. Pretty good guy to learn from.
Absolutely.
Rod Smith, one of the all-time greats, with some instruction for the young man, Brandon Marshall, who's reached 100 receptions on the season. We've reached the end of the third quarter, and the Denver Broncos are dominating. Underway, fourth quarter. Jay Cutler throwing for Cecil Sapp, the fullback out of the backfield. It's incomplete. Sam Rosen, Tim Ryan, Tom Helmer here in Denver. Glad you're with us as these 2 teams wrap up the regular season. Jay Cutler has had a strong game. 21 for 27, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Brad Childress' offense has scored 20 or more points in 6 consecutive games, only 3 points today.
Missed opportunities across the board for his team. They've left a lot of meat on the bone in this football game.
3rd and 7, 3 wide receivers in. They stop the play. Looks like a timeout had been called. Timeout was called.
First charge timeout, Denver.
Broncos call time. You see the score up there. Washington has a 20-3 lead over Dallas. Third and 7 for the Broncos. The toss to Selvin Young. He's slowed down. He avoids a couple of tacklers and comes up just a little bit short of the first down line. Darren Sharper finally tackled Selvin Young. So the punting unit on. Sam Polescu is out.
Minnesota's got to figure out something, Sam, in terms of getting a big play from their defense or their special teams, because since that Troy Williamson drop, that offense has been deflated.
Polescu's kick, good bounce, and it is out of bounds at the 1-yard line.
Hard to do it against
Wow. Denver Broncos are looking for a long-time punter. Polescu trying to take the lead in the early running. He was signed this week. Time for a game break. We go to Kurt Menefee. What's happening, Kurt?
Well, from the Vikings' performance to that punt to this play by Clinton Portis, the news keeps getting worse for the Vikings. Washington up 20-3 in the third quarter, and once again, if they win, they're in, and it doesn't matter what Minnesota does. Of course, Minnesota has to play better than they played so far. Right, Sam and Tim?
Yeah, you're right, Kurt. It's a long way to come back. Ball's out of bounds at the 2-yard line for the Vikings.
You feel the same way I do, deflated since that big drop by Troy Williams?
I agree with you. Adrian Peterson, the running back. Mills in motion, short drop. Jackson outside of Bobby Wade. Wade avoided one hit and gets up to the 17, maybe the 18-yard line for a first down. This is what we were talking about. This is first half. Jackson going deep. Troy Williamson wide open by 12 yards, and he dropped it. Would have been a touchdown.
and they haven't been the same ever since. And then a couple of series later, started the second half, I should say, in their first drive, had an opportunity to extend the play with a big third down catch. That one also hit him in the chest plate and bounced off for the incompletion.
Peterson and Tony Richardson in the backfield. Off the play fake, Jackson. Uh-oh, Nate Webster almost got him. And that pass is incomplete. On the rollout off the play fake, Jackson looked up and there was Nate Webster coming right at him.
Well, Denver's done a good job defensively. Give Jim Bates some credit. Since that first drive, they've shut down the running game. And really anything Minnesota has tried to do out on the edges with the naked boots, with the waggles, with the sprint outs with the quarterback to try to get him out of the pocket, the linebackers have been there to cover it up all day long.
There's 2nd and 10. Again, Peterson and Richardson in the backfield. Jackson off the hands of Bobby Wade and incomplete. Bobby Wade, the leading receiver for Minnesota, has had a career year, but for the Vikings, they need a whole lot more. Tavares Jackson, in his 2nd year, has certainly made progress as a quarterback and has stepped up, but will he be the quarterback of the future?
That's the question. And you know the head coaches in this league, and as volatile as this league is, are oftentimes called or linked up with their signal callers. Maybe as Tavares goes, Brad will go, so the evaluation this offseason of whether or not he's going to be the guy is absolutely paramount.
Here's 3rd and 10. There's pressure. They stop the play. There was a false start against the Vikings.
False start. Offense, number 19. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
That's on Bobby Wade. It'll bring up a 3rd and 15. Bobby Wade is a solid receiver, but when he's your number one,
you got
have to look at your wide receiver position.
Well, and let's think about it. I mean, Troy Williamson, they drafted him in the top 10. Clearly, that hasn't panned out. Their best receiver this year is their 2nd-round pick, Sidney Rice, who's not in the football game today. So I think when you start talking about needs for this Minnesota team, the receiving corps is certainly something that's going to have to be upgraded.
They have to get to the 27 for a first down, and again, a flag and a false start on the Vikings.
False start. Offense, number 7. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
It's on Tavares Jackson.
Well, those are the young things of a quarterback. He didn't know the snap count. Everybody else knew it. He pulled out, was getting back, but watch before the ball's even snapped. So he's going to pivot out of there, thinking that the ball was supposed to come up, and then it comes up late, false start. And once you get your hands under the center like that, and you take that position, you cannot pivot your feet out without it being a false start.
The Viking fan not happy. Pressure on Jackson. He was hit as he throws. There's a flag on the play. Chester Taylor brought down at the 16-yard line. Looked like a holding.
I don't know. I think they may get Dumervil for grabbing him around the neck.
Really?
Let's see.
Personal foul. Attacking by the face mask. Offense, number 62. Because the foul occurred in the end zone, the result of the play is a safety. 2 points for Denver.
Wow. That's on Ryan Cook, the right tackle. For Minnesota fans, it's a dagger.
Well, and it's not the hold, like you said. It's the hands to the face as Dumervil is going to take the edge on him. And Ryan Cook's going to get his hands up high. Watch Dumervil and the leverage that he plays with. Boom, right under that, and just turns and just brushes him by the face mask, grabs a hold of it just enough. Now, did that happen in the end zone as we look at it? Looked like Dumervil was still in the end zone when Ryan Cook reached out and grabbed a handful of that face mask. And by rule, any penalty in the end zone by the offensive player is going to be a safety.
Good job by the Broncos defense and the defensive coordinator moving Jim Bates, moving Dumervil around. They move him, as you pointed out in the first half, right side, left side. He's quick off the ball, and he's giving Ryan Cook all kinds of problems.
He's given people problems all year long, coming in with 12 sacks. Just amazing at his size, at 5'11", 6 foot, to be able to do what he does against tackles that are 8-9 inches taller than him and outweigh him by 100 pounds.
Ryan Cook, 62, is down on the bench. You can see how disheartened he is across the way. for Mike Shanahan. This has been a tough season. It'll be a losing season, but they feel they can turn it around in a short time. That kick is brought back by Dre Bly. The defensive back with good hands and a good return man goes out of bounds at the 27-yard line. But when you talk to the players about Mike Shanahan, you talk about this team and getting this team back, the players say they have mad respect for their head coach.
Mad respect, as Elvis Dumervil told us on Friday. And they should. I mean, he's got a couple of Lombardi trophies. When you walk right into that facility, those things are on full display. And there haven't been a lot of losing seasons here in Denver for the Broncos since Mike Shanahan has been here. And another thing, the guy's a 25-year lifer in pro football. Come on.
Selvin Young turns the corner. Pushed out of bounds up at the 34-yard line. Want to correct something I said earlier about Brandon Marshall. I said he was picked up off the practice squad. That's a mistake. He's a fourth-round draft pick of the Broncos last season and became a first-year starter this year. And he has really blossomed into a top-flight receiver. He's over 1,300 yards receiving. That's only the third Bronco player ever to reach that mark.
And he's in triple digits.
Oh, man. Over 100 catches, the fourth Broncos player to have 100 in the season. Selvin Young again. Goes down to the 35-yard line. The game started with Minnesota driving the ball well, controlling it well, and on the opening possession, getting right down to the goal line. Chester Taylor tried to dive for a touchdown, but dropped the ball as he reached the pylon. It was ruled a touchback after a challenge, and Denver got the ball back. Second time the Vikings got the ball, they had another good drive that stalled. They only got 3, and that's been it offensively for the Vikings all day. There's the end around, fake pass by Marshall, and another good run. Tough to bring down. Stiff arm on Darren Sharper, and out of bounds at the Minnesota 41-yard line. How about Brandon Marshall's running ability?
How about guys just dripping off of him because he's so big? Watch guys try to tackle him in the lower body. Forget about it. Again, I love the play call. I think Mike Shanahan has certainly outcoached Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator today, because everything has been misdirection, out on the edges, getting the guys running. Then you get a big old athlete like that out in the open field, and guys just roll off of his lower body. He is so hard. Look at the size.
Jay Cutler going to block here?
Yeah,
Dwight Smith.
Going to get grimy on Dwight Smith. A little block on him.
Selvin Young straight ahead. It's down to the Vikings 34-yard line. What do you mean by grimy?
Well, the guy meeting with him on Friday. Tell me he didn't have that blue collar mentality.
I agree.
I mean, the guy could do anything.
But he said he's lost a lot of weight during the season, and not intentionally either.
I said, what do you weigh? I said, what'd you come in at? He goes, about 235. I go, where are you at now? He goes, about 217. I go, what happened? Did you get sick? He goes, no, stressful job. Stressful job, bro. He's had a heck of a game today.
Yes, he has. 2 tight ends in. No turnovers for the Broncos today. 2 for Minnesota, and they were big ones. Selvin Young has run well, and that's a first down at the 30-yard line. And talking to Mike Shanahan on Friday, the feeling was a couple of moves, a couple of smart moves in key places, especially on the defensive line, could really get this team turned around. And let's face it, the AFC West is not at the height right now. You've got Kansas City and Oakland still struggling. San Diego is very good. That's the big competition in the division.
Well, and I think one thing, too, is they've got a committed owner. They've got a great owner in Pat Bowlen, and Mike is committed. They've already got a very good quarterback, so they can build up both of those lines and it'll be a fine show.
Selvin Young running the ball well. And typical of Denver, they find running backs. Every year there's somebody else stepping up. This year it's Selvin Young.
Well, think about it. Mike Belt was their guy last year, right? He's not even active today. He's been inactive most of the season. They get the rookie in Selvin Young. They got Andre Hall. They went out and got Travis Henry, who really hasn't been the same since he hurt his knee earlier in the year. And I mean, college free agents across the board. Selvin Young wasn't drafted. Comes out of Texas. I remember another good one that came out of Texas undrafted. Priest Holmes had himself a pretty good career. But it's something about this system. something about the mentality of Mike Shanahan that allows these running backs to flourish in this zone scheme.
Andre Hall in for Selvin Young. Hall carries, met right away by Dwight Smith. Brought him down at the 26-yard line. Short pickup on the play. Selvin Young, 20 carries, 80 yards in the game. Number 30, hanging in the Ring of Honor, the great Terrell Davis. Talk about great running backs, the Super Bowl running back. Selvin Young, free agent out of Texas.
I mean, anytime you can get your guys up over 5 yards a clip per run, it's pretty good. All their backs are right there. And there's a guy right there coming in where in contention for the rushing title. Expectations were that he would have a huge day. He has been very limited.
And how about Denver? 121 yards rushing in the game. That pass broken up. Good play by Cedric Griffin on Brandon Marshall. It's only the 4th time this season that a team has run for over 100 yards against the Minnesota Vikings, the #1 rushing defense in the league.
And I thought so far in this game, through these first 3.5 quarters, they've attacked in the right way with the run, and that was everything out on the edges. Not going to get a lot of running room against those Williams boys on the inside, so you hit the edges, and they've done it with success.
This is a 4th down play. Jason Elam is standing along the sideline, waiting to come in. Mike Shanahan decides to call timeout. So the decision will be made on the sideline whether to go for a field goal and try to add to the 19-3 lead. Jay Cutler getting into it a little bit, huh? With Cedric Griffin. Perhaps some concern about the wind for Mike Shanahan. He decides to go for it on 4th down. You have to get to the 20-yard line. Empty backfield. Swing it out to Scheffler, the tight end. They slow him down and bring him down for a loss.
I don't like it. Now it's a 2. I mean, you don't get that and you don't kick a field goal. It's 16 points. 2 touchdowns, 2 two-point conversions, and it's a tied game. The win must have factored in to the decision because that's certainly within the range of Jason Elam, who's had a nice year.
Vikings take over. The NFC's leading rusher is Adrian Peterson, and he is on the sideline. Did not play the first quarter of the game, has only rushed for 28 yards in the game. There's Jackson connecting on 1st down. Champ Bailey with the stop on Andre Allison, the rookie out of East Carolina.
Curious decision not to have him in. I mean, they didn't start him. He didn't play the first series and a half. Certainly Chester Taylor had the hot hand running the football, but...
Two things here, I think, Tim. One is the fact that he's not a good pass protector, and 2, they've got to pass on every down. Chester Taylor's the guy to have in there. That one is for Taylor. Wasn't thrown well. He gets up and gets a couple of yards up to the 42-yard line, and looks like just enough for the 1st down.
Well, I understand him not being in now for those reasons, but at the start of the game and through a couple of real crucial spots in this game, I don't even think he has 10 carries in the football game collectively for Adrian Peterson.
Jay Cutler's had a strong game. Right now, it's desperation time for the Vikings. Rush on Jackson. He gets rid of it. Bobby Wade with the catch inside the 30. There's a good connection between Jackson and Wade. Jackson says Bobby Wade thinks like a quarterback out on the field. They read each other well. Jackson calling the play, no huddle, 30-yard pickup.
And Bobby Wade, like a quarterback, knew right where the soft spot was in that zone and hit it accordingly.
Everybody out. Jackson throws, and the ball is dropped. Intended for Robert Ferguson, and it's incomplete. In Washington, the Redskins have a 20-3 lead on the Dallas Cowboys. Simply put, Washington wins. It doesn't matter what Minnesota does.
And if they go ahead and get that W, I'll tell you, I will be so happy for Joe Gibbs and what he's been able to do with that football team and the catastrophic year they've had emotionally, the ups and the downs, and the way they finished this season has been tremendous.
Inspirational finish, and they would go to Seattle for the wild card game next week. Jackson being blitzed by Dre Bly. He's got him. He got rid of it just in time, and it's a completion. A heads-up desperation play by Tavares Jackson. Robert Ferguson made the catch. Dre Bly just missed getting a sack. Jackson was on the way down. Here's 3rd and long. Have to get to the 18 for a first down. Jackson being pressured. Gets rid of it. Intended for Mills. It's incomplete. He was covered. Double covered on the play. Garrett Mills in his first NFL game. Foxworth and Bly double covering.
Just enough pressure, too, by Denver, who's only going with the 3-man rush, which tells us they're keeping 8 guys in coverage, and got 2 guys over there on Doomerville, and he's still flashing with some pressure on the backside.
Doomerville, who got credited for an extra half sack by the NFL stats during the week, has 12 on the season.
How about when I started asking him about his size, I said, man, you got a chip on your shoulder talking about that. He goes, I got a brick.
That's right. Here's 4th down. Jackson with time, throws, and a great catch by Ferguson. First down at the 5-yard line. Dre Bly covering on the play. What a throw by Tavares Jackson.
He's had 4 or 5 outstanding throws in this football game. When he can step up, and here's the hole he's going to get it in, and he can read it, step, and fire. Look at that. And that ball is on a rope.
21-yard pickup. The Redskins have kicked another field goal and lead Dallas 23-3. The Vikings score a touchdown. Bobby Wade on the pass from Tavares Jackson. And they have to go for 2. They need the points. That time, that drive belonged to Tavares Jackson and his throwing ability.
Well, that up-tempo caught Denver off guard there because they weren't ready. Dre Bly was out here on the edge jumping around, and he just fires it right in front of him for the easy score to Bobby Wade. Now, what do you do on this 2-point? Do you go with the bread and butter, which is the run game, or do you put it in your young quarterback's hands and let him break, contain, get outside, and have a 2-way go, either a throw or a run for the QB?
You got Ferguson wide left, Mills wide right, Chester Taylor the running back. Jackson to throw it. Fakes, tries to run, he's in. 2 points, Tavares Jackson. That's what you do.
Well,
nobody's open, you use your legs.
You got to like that, and that's the ability of a guy like Tavares Jackson. You give him the opportunity by calling a pass play that if there's nothing there, he can make it happen with his legs. That's his 3rd touchdown in 2 weeks.
Back in Denver, Washington 27-3, so it was a touchdown, not a field goal. 27-3 lead over Dallas, and Minnesota's hopes are going down, though they stay alive. Bobby Wade scoring the touchdown, and Tavares Jackson with a 2-point conversion, his 3rd score in the last 2 weeks.
He's been in the end zone the last couple of weeks using his legs, which is a good thing. Now, with what they've got left on the clock at over 5 minutes and 2 timeouts left, I don't think you kick the onside here.
Denver's looking for it. They've got everybody up, 10 players up. Only Glenn Martinez is deep. Ryan Longwell, let's see what he does. Vikings have recovered a couple this season. He kicks it deep. Over the head of Martinez, through the end zone. It's a touchback.
Absolutely the right call. Count on your defense now with over 5 to go.
Now we're coming to New Year's Day on Tuesday, and that means bowl time. AT&T Cotton Bowl, Missouri and Arkansas, and then the All-State Sugar Bowl, Hawaii and Georgia. It all begins, the All-State Bowl Bash on Fox New Year's Day. This is the place to be, the BCS Championship game from New Orleans on January 7th with LSU and Ohio State. But on New Year's Day, the Cotton Bowl, and then followed by the Sugar Bowl. Selvin Young gets 5 up to the 25-yard line. Good job by Denver running the football. They haven't been afraid. Now we'll talk a little bit bowl time and the bowl games and the Cotton Bowl, Missouri. What do you think? You like Missouri in that game?
I do like Missouri, as a
Yeah?
matter of fact. Yeah, I think they're a well-coached football team. I think they kind of got shafted at the end of the season, the way all that thing went. They lose a game and get dropped all the way down. So, yeah, I like them in that football game.
And then the Sugar Bowl.
Sugar Bowl, Listen, I picked
You like
Hawaii
Colt
because
Brennan.
nobody gave Boise State a chance last year in their bowl game. I like Colt Brennan. You're going to see a lot of points in that game, and I think he's going to prove to everybody that he can be a Sunday afternoon quarterback.
I think it'll be a fun game, but I think Georgia wins that game. Nice tackle by Darren Sharper. A short pickup on the play by Selvin Young. It'll bring up a 3rd down. For the Minnesota Vikings, it's a disappointing finish
This will be a 30-second
to the
timeout.
season.
Please
Last
reset the game
week, they
clock.
had it all in their hands. It was right there for them when New Orleans lost in the afternoon to Philadelphia. If the Vikings had beaten Washington Sunday night, the Vikings would have clinched a playoff spot. They never got started in that game, fell behind 25-0, and took the control of their playoff fate out of their hands. And now it's Washington that looks like they'll be getting in by virtue of their strong performance against Dallas
And
today.
clearly in watching this game, Minnesota's still a little too one-dimensional in terms of their run to the pass ratio and how they can have success in both of those areas. But give them a lot of credit. I mean, about 6-7 weeks ago where this season was for them and having reeled off 5 straight, good stuff.
Here's 3rd and 3. Cutler throwing incomplete, was hit as he released. Good pressure, Ben Lieber blitzing, and got to Cutler.
Now, and here's Lieber right here coming off the edge. I mean, he just Lepsis sets inside. He just runs the corner on him, and Brandon Marshall all inside that 5-yard chuck zone, and that's just good stuff by Cedric Griffin because Marshall cannot deny his right to the football as well. Really well played by the corner.
Sam Pelescu's 5th punt. Mewelde Moore waiting for it at the 35.
Let him loose,
Gets it away. Good kick. Moore backs up. Avoids one man and another. And finally is pulled out of bounds up at the 34-yard line. And that's where the Vikings start from, down by 8 points.
When I can't help but go back just the 2 drives ago offensively for Denver going on it, 4th and about 6, certainly in field goal range for Jason Elam, which has left this door open, and now it only being a 1-score game for Minnesota.
Vikings have only 1 timeout remaining. They start from the 35. Ferguson, Wade, and Allison, the wide receivers. Chester Taylor in the backfield with Tavares Jackson. Allison in motion. Everybody out. Flag on the play. Couple of flags. Jackson throws too far for Bobby Wade. Check out the penalty flags.
Offside. Defense, number 92. 5-yard penalty. Replay, 1st down.
Miguel Dumerville, too anxious to get to the quarterback.
Well, flinched just enough, and actually didn't come up out of his stance, but flinched enough to get into the neutral zone, and then really a clever move by Matt Burke. The good centers in this league, when they identify a guy that's fallen into the neutral zone, they'll snap it and get the easy 5-yard penalty.
78, Matt Burke going to the Pro Bowl again, as is his line mate Steve Hutchinson. On 1st and 5, Jackson going deep for Allison, bumping along the sideline with Carl Pema, and the pass way overthrown. Jackson's got a strong arm. Now, if he can learn to control it, get some more touch on the passes, he throws a good ball. Young man who went to Arkansas, was behind Matt Jones, finally transferred to Alabama State.
Well, I just think as he gets more seasoned, and that one came out of his hand funny, as he gets more seasoned on how to control NFL safeties with his eyes, how to depend on his guys and let the game come to him, he's certainly got all the skill that it takes to be successful at the position.
2nd and 5. Jackson on the draw. And he's got room to run. Slips a man, goes outside, and is down inside the 30 at the 28-yard line. Champ Bailey finally took him down. Outstanding run, 32 yards by Tavares Jackson.
And this is a design QB draw, but watch the block right here by the left guard, Steve Hutchinson. I mean, he's just going to control his guy, Kenny Peterson. Look at him stay on him, get enough of a push Tavares Jackson reads the little crease in between the D tackle and the linebacker, and then you see that athleticism when he gets into the open field.
At 28, Adrian Peterson fighting his way down to the 22-yard line with the clock running, coming down close to 3 minutes. Peterson, 9 carries. Actually, that was his 10th carry of the game. Sam Rosen, Tim Ryan, Tom Helmer here in Denver. Final game of the regular season. Minnesota Vikings last gasp. Even if they win, if they can come back to win, Washington is winning big, and Washington would clinch the final playoff spot in the NFC. Adrian Peterson, 10 carries, 34 yards. Jackson pumps, throws for Ferguson. Diving effort, but it's incomplete. Great effort by Robert Ferguson. Could not hold on. Carl Pema was covering on the play.
Really good coverage by Pema, who gets right in his hip pocket. 41 there, running with Robert Ferguson. Good throw to the back of the pylon. Ferguson lays out. And obviously, as you know, the ground can cause an incompletion as he comes down with that. Right here, the ground knocks it out, incomplete pass.
3rd and 4 at the 22-yard line. Chester Taylor in the backfield. Bobby Wade motions. Everybody out. Jackson in trouble. Now finds the man. It's Bobby Wade. And he got in. Touchdown. Tavares Jackson kept the play alive and found Bobby Wade, and the Vikings are within 2.
Boy, has the kid come alive here in this 4th quarter. Look at the poise. Look at the poise of this young quarterback. Game on the line, pressure cooker. He wants to go out here to the right. As you'll see, he's going to look to the right. Over here, can't get there. Now flies out, keeps his eyes down the field. Nice job by Bobby Wade, too, finding an open little crease on the edge of John Lynch.
And heads-up play to get that ball inside the pylon. Now, 2-point conversion try. Jackson to run it in. He's in. 2 points. The game is tied. This comeback has been led by the young quarterback, Tavares Jackson.
I think the character that has been developed in that kid in the last 15 minutes of this football game is going to carry him a long way through this offseason into 2008.
He is making a strong case for himself to be the quarterback of the future for the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, and again, there's a great call put in the quarterback's hands. Clearly going to be a run the whole way with the QB. Nate Webster gets him, but there you see the power and the strength of Tavares Jackson. Because 58, Webster's got him right there, but has enough power and velocity on his run, does Tavares Jackson, to surge into the end zone.
And I shouldn't say just the quarterback of the future, the quarterback of the present. When you look to next season, Champ Bailey upset as this big lead has been taken away on 2 touchdowns and 2 two-point conversions by the Minnesota Vikings. Bobby Wade with 2 touchdown catches. 5 receptions, 92 yards in the game for Bobby Wade. But the man to look to, and we talked with Tavares Jackson, we asked him, if you're in a pinch, who would you go to? He didn't want to single out anyone. Then he said, well, Bobby Wade and I, we think alike. Bobby Wade has that quarterback mentality.
I think he trusts him the most.
Yeah.
Pretty good evidence of it right there. I mean, the play broke down. Everybody was scrambling. Wade knew what to do, and Tavares hit him for the touch.
Good kickoff by Longwell. And now the Denver Broncos will start from the 20-yard line in a game that is tied. Broncos have no timeouts remaining. The Vikings still have 1. And, of course, we have the 2-minute warning ahead of us. The Vikings trying to keep their playoff hopes alive, but Washington is winning, and if Washington wins, they clinch the final playoff spot in the NFC. Cutler, everybody out, and he hooks up with his tight end, Tony Scheffler. In a key man form, it's a first down at the 34-yard line. 7 catches in the game for Tony Scheffler. That's the situation for the Minnesota Vikings. The only way they can get in is they have to win. Take care of their own business. Somehow hope that Washington loses, but it's not looking good in Washington for Minnesota. Back in Denver, Sam Rosen, Tim Ryan, Tom Helmer. 2 minutes remaining. Fourth quarter, game tied at 19 on a big fourth quarter comeback by the Vikings. Now Jay Cutler, 1st and 10 at his own 34. And they stop the play. False start against the Broncos.
False start. Offense, number 15. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That's Brandon Marshall. Shanahan looking on. Broncos have had a couple of close games. They've had 3 overtime games this season. They've had some last-second wins. 3 wide receivers in. Cutler in trouble. Steps away and finds Selvin Young. And Ben Lieber has him wrapped up. To come back to the 33-yard line. Just short of the original line of scrimmage. They're out of timeouts.
They got to start working the edges because they are out of timeouts.
Cutler outside, the adjustment made. What a catch! Lateral! A great catch by Brandon Marshall, and he lateral to Glenn Martinez for another 10 yards.
Now that guy is a football player. Love it. Playground football for Brandon Marshall. First of all, he's going to go up just with sheer size and determination and take this ball from Cedric Griffin. Just take it from him, and then a little hook and ladder, getting the lateral back to Glenn Martinez. Gotta love it.
9 catches in the game for Brandon Marshall, 109 yards.
Clearly this ball is underthrown. Cedric Griffin can make a play on it, but he can't locate it, and then the big body and the adjustment to go up and over the back, or behind the back, over the front and behind the back of Cedric Griffin is good stuff. And then just playground football. All right, here you go. Take it. Let's win this game.
From the 40-yard line. Blitz coming. Cutler gets rid of it. Low throw. Marshall hangs on, gets to the 35-yard line. It'll be a 3rd and 5 at the 35. Under a minute to go. No timeouts for the Broncos. Marshall with 10 catches. He's had his 4th 100-yard receiving day of the season. Cutler throws, and the ball incomplete. Dropped by Glenn Martinez when he was hit by Charles Gordon. And now 4th down and 5 for the Broncos with 44 seconds remaining. Don't forget, following the action here, we've got the OT brought to you by Lowe's. With all the guys, Kurt, Howie, Terry, and Jimmy in the studio, scores and highlights from the entire day. 3 wide receivers in on 4th and 5. Cutler with time, puts it up. He's got a man, and it's incomplete. Javon Walker had a step, but the wind held up that pass. And it was broken up by the rookie, Marcus McCauley.
And that's the matchup advantage they've been going after, the rookie Marcus McCauley. And you're right. He did have a step on him. Just the takeoff route to the outside. And there's the gap right there. The ball is underthrown, I think, because of the wind. And as you look up at those flags on the goalpost, that wind blowing directly into the face of Jay Cutler.
And that had an impact earlier when Denver was in scoring position about going for a field goal.
You see up there, 1 timeout left for Minnesota.
And 39 seconds. And they've got a good field goal kicker in Ryan Longwell. Jackson on the quarterback draw. And the Broncos have him. Loss of a yard. Back to the 34, and they call timeout. Josh Mallard making the tackle on Tavares Jackson. 30 seconds remaining. There's Ryan Longwell. He's got the strong leg. He's kicked outdoors in the past in his years with Green Bay. Don't forget, second season begins next weekend, and we'll have a game for you right here on Fox, an NFC wild card game. And we will take you right through the NFC playoffs and to the Super Bowl in Glendale, Arizona. Fox could be in Seattle. Maybe Giants at Tampa. That's the other wild card game. Seattle will host. In all likelihood, it looks like it'll be Washington because they've got a big fourth quarter lead on Dallas. Tavares Jackson gets time and throws it low, and it's incomplete. Scooped up by Andre Allison. It'll bring up a third down with 26 seconds remaining in regulation time. The game tied at 19. A great fourth quarter comeback led by Tavares Jackson.
And I'll tell you another thing that Mike Shanahan will be looking for this offseason, whether it's getting his guys healthy or getting some new bodies, is more pass rushers. You see here in the fourth quarter, Elvis Dumerville out there, number 92, he's been the only one getting consistent pressure on Tavares Jackson.
The rushing 3, dropping 8. Jackson with time, looking, nobody open, goes to run, and he is brought down. Good play by Kenny Peterson of hanging on, refused to let go of the leg of Tavares Jackson. And now the final seconds in regulation time tick off, and this final regular season game will go to overtime. The Denver Broncos 6-9, the Minnesota Vikings 8-7, and their last game of the season goes to overtime. It'll be the fourth overtime game of the season for the Broncos. They are 1-2 in overtime, and for the Vikings, their second overtime game. They lost at Detroit in week 2.
And give Brad Childress a little bit of love. That third quarter did not look good for this football team. He went over to the sideline, started talking to his team. Look, fellas, it's going to switch. The momentum's coming back. Let's keep pressing. Let's up tempo. Let's keep it going. And the guys have responded big time down the stretch in the fourth quarter to tie this game up.
And a lot of credit to the young quarterback. I know we've said it before, but Tavares Jackson was put in the spot where he had to bring his team back, and he did.
Okay, we're going to have one 15-minute overtime period. It's sudden death. The first team that scores will be declared the winner. You each get 2 timeouts for this overtime period. If the game ends or tie, it will be declared a tie if no one scores. All right? Minnesota, by being a visiting team, you get to call a coin toss. Minnesota has chosen heads. And it's heads. Which is you want to kick that way? All right? Minnesota has won the first half. Overtime toss, and will receive.
Vikings to receive. The Broncos will kick with the wind at their backs. The Minnesota Vikings, with Adrian Peterson getting set to return, will get the ball first in overtime.
Sam, can't say enough about Tavares Jackson. You know, the ebb and flow of being a pro quarterback, the ups and the downs, hasn't been all good today, but boy, in the fourth quarter, has he seized the opportunity. The evaluation process never stops. He knows this is going to be a big spot for him. Tough place to play on the road with the playoff type atmosphere, and boy, as he finished this game strong. You got to be happy for the second-year pro.
16 for 31, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions thrown by either quarterback in the game, 2 turnovers in the game, both fumbles by the Vikings, and leading to points for the Denver Broncos. There is Adrian Peterson getting set to return. He's had a couple of solid returns of 30 yards in this game. Matt Prater will kick it off, and some snow flurries coming in to Denver. For a beautiful sunshiny day, giving way to some snow flurries. And here we go in overtime. Oh, big kick by Prater. No run back for Peterson. Strong leg by Matt Prater, who was brought in a couple of weeks ago to be the kickoff guy, and he's done a good job. So the Vikings, with some snow falling in Denver, will start from the 20-yard line. 2 minutes remaining in Washington, and we can declare a winner. We have projected Tim Ryan and Sam Rosen have declared Washington the winner.
Way to go out on a limb. So they will be in Seattle.
That's correct. Right here, the Vikings want to finish 9-7. Adrian Peterson. He hasn't had much of a game today. He picks up 2. DJ Williams takes him down. Peterson, 11 carries, 36 yards. He will wind up leading the NFC in rushing. It'll be the first time since 1989 that a rookie has led the NFC in rushing, and that was Barry Sanders. Pretty good rookie, somebody to be compared to. 2nd and 8, Minnesota. Jackson, late blitz. The ball's not free. And the Broncos have the football. Third fumble of the game.
Blue ball.
And they have it at the Vikings 12-yard line. Elvis Dumervil has the ball. Jamie Winborn came late on the blitz.
Here's Winborn here. He's going to come late, but then it's right here, Alvin McKinley coming around who gets in on it. Watch 99, going to keep fighting, And there's the guy that gets the cleanup shot. You had Winborn, had Tavares Jackson down low. McKinley takes him up top and knocks that ball out before the arm is coming forward.
And they have brought Jason Elam right on the field to attempt a 30-yard field goal with the win. The Denver Broncos. And now a timeout has been called by Minnesota.
The last play is going to be reviewed by the replay assistant.
Okay.
And that goes up to the booth in overtime. Last 2 minutes of the game, and in overtime, Sam, as you know, it goes up to the booth. And the whole question here is when McKinley hits him, when Alvin McKinley loops around to keep the play alive and gets the hit on Tavares Jackson, is his hand coming forward with the football before the football's knocked out? I don't think it was from seeing that a couple of times. Here's the guy here who's going to fight to get around. And Alvin McKinley, he's going to peel around the corner. Winborn's got him low. He takes him up high. Is the ball coming forward with the ball in hand as it comes out? And if that's the case, it's clearly just the tuck rule. Ball's coming back. Oh, man, that is right on the verge.
Wow.
That looks like a fumble. Called a fumble on the field. I don't think his arm, it was like right at the pinnacle of whether it was going to come forward or not when it came out. If you start any forward motion.
Boy, that was close. Oh, wow. And that means all the difference here.
Is the hand coming forward at all with the ball in it?
After reviewing the play has been confirmed as a fumble. It will be Denver's ball, 1st and 10.
We welcome those of you who are watching the Washington Redskins and Dallas Cowboys. Welcome to Denver. Sam Rosen, Tim Ryan, Tom Helmer. We are in overtime, and the Denver Broncos are going for the win after recovering a fumble. A big hit by Alvin McKinley knocked the ball out of the hands of Tavares Jackson. The Broncos recovered, and the extra point try by Jason Elam, 30 yards. Straight away. And Elam puts it through. The Denver Broncos have won it. The season is over for both teams. The Broncos finish 7-9. They win it in overtime, 22-19. The Minnesota Vikings finish 8-8. And with Washington winning, the Washington Redskins move on to postseason play against Seattle next week in the wild card playoffs. A disappointing finish for Tavares Jackson, who led a great fourth quarter comeback with 2 touchdown passes and 2 two-point conversions, bringing Minnesota back from a 19-3 deficit. But Denver wins it, recovering the fumble. There were 3 turnovers in the game, all by Minnesota, and all leading to points for the Denver Broncos. That's it for the regular season. Denver defeats Minnesota 22. Welcome back to Denver. With the snow falling, the season has come to an end, but the Denver Broncos finish on an up note with a 22-19 win over the Minnesota Vikings. It's time for our UPS leaderboard. UPS, what can Brown do for you? And don't forget, coming up next, we've got the OT with Kurt Menefee and the gang in the studio. For Tim Ryan and Tom Helmer, this is Sam Rosen. Happy New Year, everyone.